I got a question from somebody recently, and it's about low self-esteem. And the person was basically saying that they're not really sure if they have low self-esteem. And that's a really interesting thing to bring up here, and I wanted to make a video on it. It's not always easy to know if you have low self-esteem, because very often we don't have this sort of negativity voice or a critical voice that we're aware of all the time. That's not to say it's not there. In fact, very often it is there. And usually it's the case that if we're asking the question, I wonder if I do have low self-esteem, the answer is yes, usually. And the reason for this is because, to get out of bed in the morning and go about our day-to-day life with that voice constantly there, and for some people it is there, they're more aware of it. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But most of the time what we do is we repress it. We put it out of awareness because it's incredibly difficult to stay functional when we have that voice. If it was following you around like a friend and you could hear it, well, like not a good friend, but following you around and you can hear it all the time. So usually we have it held out of awareness in our shadow. And what we will experience it as is not feeling good about ourselves. Certainly we'll be able to be aware usually that I don't really feel particularly good about myself. I don't have strong convictions around my own value. Or another way of putting it is people will often have a sense of sort of being indifferent as regards to their self-worth. Or they'll feel sort of ambiguous about themselves, like I don't have any strong feelings on it one way or the other. And that's never true. That is never true. We're never ambiguous about our own sense of identity. We always have, there's only two ways you can really feel about yourself. Okay doesn't apply, fine doesn't apply. Those types of language, those words don't work here. We either feel like we are valuable or we feel like we're worthless. Those are the two options we have, believe it or not. And that might come as a shock to you, but that is the truth. So usually it's this sort of a vague sense of not really being able to acknowledge our value, not knowing how valuable we are. But what do we do about this? Well, one of the concepts is there's no neutral thoughts, right? So being aware that if I don't feel really, really good about myself, I probably have a self-esteem thing that I could work on. Okay. And what we got to do is go in and find a lot of those introjections that we inherited from childhood. I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm weird. I'm uniquely weird. I'll never be accepted, etc., etc. I can't do it is a big one. Or I'm incapable of doing things, or I'm powerless in my life. Those types of introjects. And the first thing we do is we start to deeply question where that came from. Is that even my own voice? Is there any merit to it? Right? Now, invariably, you'll find that there isn't. But you can't start off with that assumption. You have to go in open-minded and say, well, okay, I'm not going to accept this or reject it. What I'm going to do is just look at it. We have to be willing to look at it first. Okay, so you follow some of those emotions in the body and it will reveal these types of things. And then what we have to do is we have to question it and we have to get in touch with the truth. And the truth is that you are capable of liking yourself. And it's really nothing more than a decision to start liking yourself. Because once you make that decision to say, I'm done carrying this negativity, I'm done carrying this self-criticism, I'm done attacking myself like this my whole life. Once you make the decision, and it's just a choice, really you start to see the futility in it and how it actually doesn't help you to do that to yourself. Because believe it or not, there's an algorithm in the mind that says, this self-criticism stuff that you're subjecting yourself to, you need to hear this. This is actually helpful for you. This is going to prepare you for life. This is going to prepare you for those people out there that you can't trust and who are inevitably going to attack you. So do it yourself first, and then you'll be prepared. And of course we realize that, that's an interesting theory, but the reality is I'm having to live with this, and it's actually not moving me forward in my life, and emotionally I'm feeling either flat or I'm feeling unworthiness. Now, we do other things too with self-esteem. It's not just about questioning introjections. It's about doing things like, here's a way we can start off with it. What would it look like if I did like myself? if I really cared about myself, if I treated myself as if I was my own best friend. And what that often looks like is giving yourself permission, very often after a long, long time, of denying yourself things, right? Not allowing yourself to go and have fun, not allowing yourself to play, not taking care of yourself, right? Not in a sort of a, like, go to the gym and get super fit and to achieve something. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm talking more about it as a symbolic way to say, I value myself, right? Giving myself the things that I've maybe put off or denied in my life. So just play. Play, in my opinion, is a very big one. We do other things. We start to examine our life and look at the ways in which we have been seeking external approval or a sense of belonging or achievement in the world in order to compensate for the underlying low self-esteem. And we start to realize, okay, I'm still going to engage with life, I'm still going to do things, but I'm going to do it now with an awareness of I'm not doing it to get any of those things I thought I needed to prove to myself that I'm worthy. I'm not going to go to university in order to get respect and then people will see that I'm valuable. I'm not going to try and get into a relationship to convince myself that I am worthy. Okay, we continue to engage with life, but we start questioning a lot of the things we think we're going to get on the other side of these things we're seeking. And that's a big part of it, because the more we are seeking externally for these things, we're actually reinforcing all the time that there is something missing, there is something wrong with us. So we do all those things. Those are 3 things I mentioned there. We start to question, we start to get in touch with the truth of actually I'm perfectly okay, there's nothing wrong with me. And we once we start to get in touch with that truth, we must focus on it more and more and more. We start to give ourselves things we've been denying ourselves. It's like boring words like self-care, guilt-free play. We stop chasing things externally in order to get approval or love or validation. We still engage with life, but just for different motives. And another thing I would suggest, and I talk about it a lot here, is that we start to see the value in having boundaries. Boundaries with ourselves in terms of what we're requiring of ourselves to do in terms of it achieving all these goals, okay? No goal now, once you have really good self-esteem, no goal is seen as more important than you. The goals are still fine, you can still go after things, but they're done with boundaries, right? There's no pushing yourself to extremes in order to get something. You engage with things in a healthy way, with boundaries around them. And that actually also reinforces this idea that, I'm valuable, I have to take care of myself, I can do all these things, and that's where the truth about the interjections come in. I am capable, I can do it, I am valuable, but I'm going to do it in a way that's respectful of myself. So, a few thoughts there on self-esteem, and I hope that's useful. If you want to work with me, I am a psychotherapist, so the link to get in touch with me is below. You can book a session, or if you want, you can check out one of my books. They're also available on my website, and I have courses available too. Hit like on this video if you found it useful, and subscribe to the channel or share it with a friend. It really helps the channel grow. And to everyone who watches these videos and comments on them, I really appreciate it. It's so helpful. Have a great day, and I will talk again soon.